ASEAN Basketball League, nakapasok na sa semifinals ang Alab Pilipinas. Nakakuha ng Final Four seat ang Alab after their 96-85 Game 2 victory para masweep ang Saigon Heat sa kanilang best-of-3 quarterfinal matchup. Nag-produce ng usual numbers sina Justin Brownlee at Ronaldo Balkman para sa Alab. Pero si Lo Domingo ang naging X-factor ng koponan with his 21 points off the bench. Makakatapat ng Alab sa semis ang defending champions na Hong Kong. Talakayin natin ang ongoing na ABL playoffs. Kasama natin ang basketball analysts na sina Javier at Enzo. Flojo, guys, welcome back to the score. Thanks for coming over. Okay, very exciting ABL semis na. Papasok tayo sa semis. Parang kailan lang, last year we saw the Alab team go into the semis with a keeper Ravenna.
Yes.
Actually, naka-semis ba sila o quarters lang sila?
Semis last year kasi walang quarters last year.
Walang quarters last year, but that didn't work out as they planned. Pero this year we've got a, arguably a much better Alab Pilipinas team. Pero let's talk about the other matchup first. Puntahan muna natin yung labanan ng the Chongson Kung Fu and the Mono Vampire.
Yeah.
This Mono team is interesting because, Martin, remember, we've covered them many times. Nagbago sila imports, and these guys are scary. They're dominating. Pero I guess yung question sa kanila, depth nila. Pero which is always a challenge for a lot of ABL teams. Pero anong first insights mo on this matchup as you see them coming here?
Okay, Mono versus Chongson, number 1 versus number 4. Chongson 15-5. Mono finished 14-6. They split the regular season. One game went to Mono at home at Stadium 29, and the other one went to Chongson. They're undefeated at home. They started that 4-game homestand with a win against Mono. So now you're talking about the number 1 defensive team in the offensive team in the league, Mono Vampire, 101 points per game, leading also in the field goal percentage. Number 1 din sila doon against Chongson Kung Fu team, one of the best defensive teams in the league. They're also decent offensively, but kaya sila number 1, they are averaging a league-leading winning margin at 10.8 points per game. So you're talking about a superior offense against a slightly better defense in Chongson. Now, keys for Chongson Kung Fu first, they need to play their game. They play a very deliberate, slow-paced basketball game. I think that's the best basketball type of basketball they could play to maximize their talents because at times in the season, they've proven that they can keep up with the up and down teams, but I think they're at their best with that deliberate pace. And number 2, they need to make their 3-point shots. Need to make and defend the 3-point shot because Mono is a very good 3-point shooting team. And on the other side, on the opposite end, Mono needs to push the pace because that's their game.
Right.
They're a high-octane basketball team, although ang interesting dito, TJ, kasi they're coming off a grueling series against the Singapore Slingers. That was a low-scoring series. They were forced to play in the half-court setup, and still in both games, they managed to win both games. So that makes it very interesting going into this matchup against Chongson.
And ang kapansin-pansin dito, for at least for the casual ABL fans, they're going to see this giant on the court.
Yeah.
si Sam Noguera.
A giant from Malta.
7'4". And I've seen him. I did a Hong Kong game with him playing at. They played against Hong Kong. He's massive.
Yeah.
And he's strong. And he's got a soft touch. And how do you see him being a factor in this game?
His matchup with Justin Howard is going to be one of the key matchups in this particular series. Those are 2 of the biggest imports in the ABL. No? And si Degara, he knows how to use his size. Mark and I were talking about it, before this show, and parang he knows how to seal down low and to be able to really take advantage of his size. But against someone who's almost as big as him, in Justin Howard, and of course Howard playing extra motivated because he's never won a title in the ABL.
That's right.
Yung odds will be stacked against Degara, I think. Howard, I think, is more mobile than Degara, so it'll be an extra challenge for Degara to match the production of Howard. But if he can do that, then that's one boost for Mono in this series.
Well, one thing is yung inside dominance ends. Nabanggit na ni Martin na they're a good 3-point shooting team. If they can get him established at the post, force the double teams, even without the ball. Kasi when you front them, it's so easy to lob it. How do you see that coming into play as a factor in how they run their offense? If they get him the ball early on, establish the big man, that's going to open up problems in the perimeter.
That's going to force Chongson to adjust big time, defensively speaking, if Degara can do that. And that's going to be a big factor for Mono coming into this series to be able to establish literally the biggest guy on the floor, in the low block. But another X factor for me, Teach, will be, I think, the locals of Mono. Talking about many of the guys on the second unit for Mono are national team players for Thailand. So if these guys manage to put up solid numbers, we're talking about Chichay Ananti, Tirabat Chantachon. Ito yung mga nakita natin who played against Gilas last year. If these guys, if these guys can be solid, because yung depth ng Chonson for me, I'm not sure they're the deepest team, in the ABL, but they have some very, very good imports. But if these locals of Mono can put up solid numbers, I think they have a chance here. They have a shot.
Yun. All right. Well, speaking of depth and a lot of local support, pag-usapan natin ng Alab Pilipinas going up against Hong Kong Eastern. Tabla sila, no? Technically, sa standings.
14
and then nag-tiebreaker lang
6.
sila. Okay, kaya bumaba yung Alab dun sa standings. Pero, what's interesting is, Hong Kong hasn't played this version of Alab because the last time they played them was in the start of the season. Wala pa si Balcom, wala pa si Brownlee, and they didn't get their rhythm. Remember, new coach, new system, a lot of new pieces, and now Alab is playing so well. Anong initial thoughts mo dito, Marts, in terms of how they will try to match up against these two world imports they've never seen on the court?
First off, TJ, this is a completely different Alab team because I remember them when they faced Ivan Johnson, Reggie Ocosa.
Yeah.
They were that Alab team was actually a very selfish team. Hindi pa sila yung team chemistry, hindi pa ganun ka out there.
Right.
Parang ganun, they were averaging about just above 10 assists per game. So with Balkman and Brownlee in the lineup, Alab Pilipinas is actually 15-3, including the 2 games against Saigon. So Hong Kong is, they're in for a surprise because now with Alab Pilipinas having Balkman and Brownlee, you have now the luxury of putting Balkman on Christian Stanhardinger and probably a big guy. Yun na yung ilalagay mo kay Ryan Moss, and Brownlee probably on Marcus Elliott. So this is a better matchup for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. And another factor for them, this is a more shallow, compared to last year's team ng Hong Kong, this is a more shallow team this year. Without Fong Xingyi, 2 guys, Chan Shuwing, that were major contributors last year. So talagang naka-bank on sa starters.
Correct.
Ng Hong Kong.
Minutes talaga sila.
Heavy minutes. And they're very thin in the front line. They're very thin in the front line. So let's say, yun pa naman yung game ng Alab. Alab is a very good rebounding team. They always attack. So if you get, let's say, Christian Stanhardinger or Ryan Moss in foul trouble, tapos na yung problema mo. You can attack the painted area and i-add mo pa yung kumpiyansa ngayon ng bench ng Alab Pilipinas. Because I think towards the end of the season, Josh Urbistondo had an injury. And that opened up the minutes for Pau Havilona, Pamboy Raimundo.
Right. And gumanda laro nila.
Confidence boost. Nakuha nila yung shooting nila. So I think those are the key factors for Alab Pilipinas, and Hong Kong will be in for a surprise. And just a fun fact, TJ. Parang Hong Kong is the only team Alab hasn't beaten this season. But Alab is coming from a series that Hong Kong hasn't beaten all season, which is Saigon.
And then they mastered them. Interesting. Okay. And so what's interesting here is you're talking about 2 very experienced imports. Talent aside, the experience they had, Balkman and again Vanian and Justin Brownlee, proven winner.
Yes.
Playoff time. Iba yan eh. Madami mga talented imports sa ABL pero iba yung experience of a winner like a Brownlee, and that will be a big factor coming to a playoff series. For you, how big is Brownlee and Balkman, especially Brownlee, in this series?
Oh, that's going to be very significant. Mark was talking about how Hong Kong will probably try to adjust to those 2 imports, but the effect of these 2 guys, their mindset on the Alab team has been night and day compared to their first 5 games. They went 1-4 without these guys, and after that, sabi nga ni Marks, 15-3. So the confidence level of this Alab team coming into this series is going to be sky high, I think. Knowing also na, si Brownlee has been a PBA champion, Balkman coming from the NBA, and he plays for the Puerto Rican national team. So that's going to be solid for Alab. No? And these 2 imports are going to come in with a lot of confidence also. They know that they can hang with this Hong Kong team. Balkman knows that he can hang with Christian Stanhardinger. Brownlee knows he can cancel out the production of Marcus Elliott. It's going to be huge for Alab going into the series. And I think this is going to be a 3-game series.
3-game series.
I think it's going to go the distance.
Lastly, March, the heart and soul ng Alab, people will say is Ray Park. He's been there the longest. The team was built around him. Even just picking the imports would match his game. And eventually, he got his groove latter part. No? Parang nag-defer siya sa dalawang veteran imports for a while. But now he's gotten his groove. How key is he, especially his defense? I mean, he's arguably the best defensive player on this team. How big of a factor can Ray Parks be in this series?
Well, I think Coach Jimmy Alapag will initially put Bobby Ray Parks on Marcos Elliott. That alone will tell his impact in this series. Spicy matchup. Marcos Elliott has been up and down all season long, and when you put an elite defender like Bobby Ray Parks Jr., that will really show the value of Bobby Ray Parks on this team. And time again, Bobby Ray Parks has shown that he can adjust to Justin Brownlee and Ronaldo Baltman and still get his own numbers. We've seen him score 24 points in the playoffs, and that's after Justin Brownlee and Ronaldo Baltman also getting their own numbers. So I think Bobby Ray Parks Jr. being the third option of the team, this is going to be big for Alab Pilipinas because you have another legitimate threat that can create off the dribble, that can create his own shots, and now with this improved outside shooting, that's another dimension that Alab will be looking at. And I think ultimately, hopefully, they get through.
Here we go.
If we'll see Alab finally make the finals of the ABL. At abangan nyo po yan Wednesday night, ang Game 1 ng Alab versus Hong Kong. Dito po yan sa SNA. Marks, Enzo, thanks so much, guys. Exciting stuff. Salamat.
For more sports updates, keep watching The Score. And don't forget to subscribe.